chapter 1, verse number 4. This is actually. So before we do this, we'd like to say an invocation and then you can repeat after me. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So this verse, like I said, is from the Caitanya Charitamrita. It's a book written about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chapter 1, text number 4. So I'll read the translation and then we'll do the word for it and then I'll read the English translation of this verse actually. Anapita charam chirat karanaya vakano karanaya avathina khalo sampaitam jodha swara rasam sabhakti shriyam hari purutha sundara duti kandam kanda vasandi vidaha sadai vidaya kandara spurata vasachinandanaha Anapitam charam chirat karanaya avatham khalo Sampayatam Uchnatvas Rasam Svabhakti Sriham Hari Purata Sundara Duti Kadam Vasandipitaha Sadhaya Vidaya Kandara Spuratava Satchinandanaha. So this in translation, just by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, says, May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachidevi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, He has appeared in the age of Kali, by His causeless mercy, to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. You want to repeat after me? May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachidevi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. He has appeared in the age of Kali by His causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. So in this verse, I'll do the word for word so you'll get an idea of how this thing, how it's working. So the way it says anapita, it said not bestowed, charim, having been formerly, shirat for a long time, karunaya, by causeless mercy, avinatau, descended, kalo, in the age of Kali, sampayutam, to bestow, unata, elevated, ujvala rasam, the conjugal mellow, swabhakti, of his own service, shriham, the treasure, hari, the Supreme Lord, purata, than gold, sundara, more beautiful, duti, of splendor, kadamba, with a multitude, sandipitaha, lighted up, sadha, always, hridaya kandara, in the cavity of the heart, spurata, let him be manifest, va, your Satchidananda, the son of Mother Sachi. So I'll chant some prayers before I continue, if that's okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shala Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pradan Sahagana Alita Sri Vishakavitam He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakapata Rupyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhatevacha Patitanam Bhavinibhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Mukam Laiti Kirim Yaktapatam Vande Shri Guru Dinatharinam. So in this Krishna consciousness movement that Srila Prabhupada established all over the world, we worship Lord Krishna. Okay. So you'll see our pictures there that we have of Radhanath deities, Sri Sri Radhanath temple. So Krishna, he appeared about 5,000 years ago, plus minus. And he came specifically because the earth will be overburdened with sinful people. So there are so many sinful people that the earth felt overburdened by this fact. Now, in any situation, think about spiritual life like a family. So if the mother is very upset with something because the children are putting too much pressure on her, she goes to the father, right? So in this case, that's what happened. So Lord Brahma, who's the creator of this universe, Mother Earth went and approached him and told him, I'm struggling, there's too many sinful people in this place, and they're putting a lot of pressure on me, can you help me? So Lord Brahma decided that he couldn't help because it was beyond his capacity to do that. So he said, let me take you to my superior. So this is like the father now going to the grandfather and asking for his help. So he did that. And then Shri Vishaya Vishnu said, this is a little bit out of my reach. Let's go to Krishna. So Krishna is like the great-great-grandfather. So they get to Krishna and Krishna said, fine, I'll come down to earth. You make sure all of you take birth in the family of the Yadu dynasty. And then I'll come down personally and we'll help. At that time, Srimati Radharani said that she didn't want to come. She said, no, I don't want to go. There's no Govardhan Hill there, there's no Vrindavan there, so there's no Yamuna, so what will I go do there? So Krishna said, okay, fine. I will manifest 84 miles or kilometers at least that you want to come. I'll send this to the earth planet. So in that area, all these things will be present. So Vrindavan will be there, which is like non-different from the spiritual Vrindavan in the spiritual world. Yamuna will come as a river. Govardhan will appear as a hill. So in that way, everything will be there for your satisfaction. So rather than be great. So that part of Vrindavan in the spiritual world became manifest here on this earth planet, just by the causeless mercy of Lord Krishna. Now sometimes you may think like, how is that possible? So you ever wondered how is it that the sun rises and sets on its own? Nobody pulling his puppet string. Nobody's making it go by some mechanical arrangement. Without fail, for at least my life that I've seen. Every morning it comes up, every evening it sets. No challenges actually. So if that can happen, why God can't manifest something actually? Why can't he take something from one place and transplant it? Our modern scientists are getting a little bit clever. They can take a heart out from a monkey or a pig and they can transplant it into a human being. But we say that God can't move some material or spiritual aspect of life actually. So it doesn't make any sense. So God has the capacity to do that. He can move anything, anytime, anywhere, anyhow, with anyone. So he manifested this entire place on the earth planet. And then he came and he had some wonderful pastimes actually. I'm sure you'll have discussed all these pastimes during Govardhan Leela like that it is. Or during Kartik. Krishna came and he had so many wonderful pastimes, killing so many demons, exhibiting so many wonderful qualities, bringing out love in people that was being like really manifest, you know. But these were all happening in Vrindavan between his devotees actually. And one of the reasons Krishna comes to the earth planet is to make these pastimes so relishable that we want to enjoy them, we want to relish hearing about them, we want to see them, we want to discuss them because it gives us pleasure. Now can you imagine, you know, a small child, you know, 7-day-old child, you know, drinks the milk from a demon's breast and kills the demon actually. And the demon ends up to be 8 miles long. Can you even think about this? It's like inconceivable actually. But why is it inconceivable? Because we're thinking of our limited consciousness actually. We don't know the length and breadth of the sky. But we're thinking that when God does something, it's beyond our imagination. We can't imagine. So this doesn't make any sense. So a lot of scriptural evidence is based on what we call faith, shraddha. Faith that God can do what He wants, when He wants, how He wants. You understand it? No problem. So this is how we want to try and understand. So when Krishna comes and He gives us all His pastimes, and He spent, you know, so many years here, having wonderful pastimes, He built cities, He had wars, you know, He spoke Bhagavad Gita, so many nice things actually that He did. But then when Krishna was winding up His pastimes, He was thinking, you know, I had all these wonderful pastimes, but how is it that anybody will get access to this place in Vrindavan actually? How is that? How is it possible? Who will understand that this Vrindavan exists and how to get there? Yeah, the pastimes are wonderful. Krishna is wonderful. You know, his relationship with his gopis and gopas and his parents and his friends and everything, absolutely beautiful, splendidly wonderful. But who else will get to have access to this actually? No one. So he said all these pastimes will be there. The earth will be, this Vrindavan is manifest, but no one will have access to my sweet pastimes. How will they benefit from it? And in this age of Kali, you know, one of the things that the Srimad Bhagavatam says is that this age is characterized by people that are slow, obstinate, stubborn. we don't have a very sharp mentality, you know, like that. So the recipe for spiritual life is a lot simpler actually. It's not so complicated. In Satya Yuga, which was like the first age that Lord Brahma existed over, the sages would meditate, like many sitting now, for 60,000 years. Can you imagine sitting still for 60 minutes? They would sit in lotus position for 60,000 years and meditate on what? The super soul within the heart. We can't, at least in my case, I'm fidgety by nature, so I can't sit still for very long. I can sit for some time, but not too long. But 60,000 years, 1 day, 1 hour, maybe I'll get away with it, you know. 2 hours, definitely not, actually. You know. So it was very difficult for us to do. Then the next days became Treta Yuga, and then Dwarka Yuga, where it was fire sacrifice, it was deity worship, where we worship the deity in the temple. But again, these fire sacrifices that we would do, the havans, as we call them, they would require lots and lots and lots of wealth. So you know, the priests, the kings, they would give gold and diamonds and emeralds and rubies for this fire sacrifice to take place. And even for worshiping the deity in the temple, they would decorate the deity like that, with gold and emerald and jewels, and like you're thinking, wow, how is this possible actually? There was a calculation of a temple in South India that is worth what they could find so far. Roughly it was $40 billion actually, of sapphires and emeralds and rubies and diamonds and gold. $40 billion. Can you imagine that actually? This is crazy. I had the good fortune of going to Jagannath Puri in Orissa on the day that they take out the Lord's gold hands and feet and crown. So on that day, they dress him up only with gold. And this is solid gold. It's not like some, you know, 9 karat, 18 karat. This is like really solid stuff. And I was very fortunate to see it. They dressed the entire deity with gold. The gold chain that the Lord is wearing must be, I don't know how much it must be worth. It must be worth a fortune actually. His hands are made of solid gold like this actually. Feet like that also. Really heavy, solid stuff. So this is how they would worship. But in this age, what do we have to offer? What can we offer? What is there to offer? We don't have all this emerald and gold and diamonds. We can't meditate for a long period of time. We can't do these havans of fire sacrifices. So what can we do actually? What is possible for us to do? And this is when Lord Krishna decided that he will come in the mood of his devotee, because he also wanted to find out, why is it that Srimati Radharani loves me so much? Actually, what is it that she sees in me that I can't see? So he wanted to experience that love, actually. So he came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this is what this verse is saying. He came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give the highest ecstasy that we can ever experience, love of himself, actually, love of God. He came to give that, actually. Now, people think, how do you get love of God, actually? What is it that he's giving? Is he giving something tangible that you can see, that you can feel, that you can touch? What is it, actually? None of those things, actually. None of them. You know, when you want to wake up a sleeping person, what do you normally do? Any idea? Shake him up. But what does he respond to? What does a sleeping person respond to? Sound. Because even if you hear your alarm, you hear the sound. You know, when you're waking somebody up, even sometimes you may shake them, they may not respond, but they'll hear, or that sound vibration will travel to the eardrum. It is said that even when you die, the last thing that you will lose is your hearing. Eyesight may go, speech may go, so many things may go, but the hearing will go last, actually, like that. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the process that we want to give them is the simplest, easiest method. And the sound is subtle. Sound doesn't require anything. It doesn't require any money, it doesn't require any effort, it doesn't require any value, nothing. It's just sound, isn't it? But that sound is encapsulated with the holy name, actually. So we were chanting earlier on this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and this is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. He came specifically to give this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why you would think, like, it's a simple mantra, there's three words in it repeated so many times. That's it. Isn't it? Nothing extraordinary about it. What's so extraordinary about chanting 3 words over and over again like that? You must be crazy. But if you try it, and I'm sure those devotees that are here that have tried it and they're winning, you'll see the value of it. Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America in 1965, he didn't have any followers, he didn't have any money. Actually, Srila Prabhupada only had, at that time, 40 rupees. 40 rupees wasn't a lot of money, actually, in America. And he made some money by selling his Bhagavatam set on the ship to the ship's captain, and he sold another set to somebody else. So he had some money with him like that. So this was like about $20 he was selling the books at that time. So he sat in a park, in Thompson Square Park, you would see this, and he started to chant Hare Krishna. He had the symbols like the one you have, and he was chanting meditation. And then people came slowly, and they became interested, and they started to chant. And then it became bigger, and people started to dance, and people got interested. And those devotees that joined in the initial years, through the sound vibration of chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, have become pure in heart, pure in consciousness, pure in deed. Just through simply sound process. And that is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. He gave this Mahamantra in such a way that, yes, people may think it's too simple. It's too good to be true. And like, it's so simple, how can it work actually? But they say that the proof of the pudding is in that. Eating, no, tasting. Eating, anyone can eat actually. But you don't need taste it, then you know what it's like actually. So that's the evidence of that is like, you see the lives of people today, and you see what difference it has made, how they've changed, how they've grown, how they've given up sinful habits. Like, again, going back to the early days, Srila Prabhupada had devotees that were hippies. And back in 1965, hippies meant there was a lot of drugs, there was a lot of illicit activities, and alcohol, and all sorts of crazy things actually. They gave up every one of those things. Given it up completely. Now, Srila Prabhupada once was asked the question, like so many people are doing miracles, right? You see people producing ashes, producing gold, levitating, doing all sorts of crazy things. So they asked him, what is your miracle actually? So Srila Prabhupada responded, my miracle is that all these militias and yavinas that I introduced to Krishna consciousness, they have now become Vaishnavas actually. They become pure devotees through the process of chanting Hare Krishna. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came initially, he appeared on the day that was an eclipse, and the whole countryside was chanting Hare Krishna, just to introduce this vibration of what the mantra would mean going forward. And he propagated this, irrespective of whatever anybody said or did. There's a nice pastime with a devotee called Ramanujacharya. So Ramanujacharya is from the Sri Sampradaya, which is in South India. There's a temple called Sri Rangam. He's from that Sampradaya. So his spiritual master was Yamunacharya. And when Yamunacharya gave Ramanujacharya the holy name, he told him that this mantra, this holy name, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra we're chanting, will deliver you. So will take you back to the spiritual world. So Ramanujacharya was like, okay, nice. And as he was going away, he was thinking about it. And the spiritual master told him that he mustn't share this with anybody else. So he's thinking about it, he's thinking, if this thing can deliver me, then he can deliver everybody else also, isn't it? So he said, fine. Then he went in the village, stood on top of one high platform, and he started to call everybody together, and he gave them the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So when his spiritual master Yamunacharya heard about this, called him and asked him, like, what are you doing? Didn't I tell you not to tell anybody? Then Ramanujacharya said, if it can deliver me, then it can deliver everybody else also. So even if I have to go to hell, I'm happy to go to hell as long as everybody else gets delivered. This is the unselfish nature of a saintly person. So when he said that, his spiritual master Yamunacharya said, you have understood the essence of the mantra. So just to give you an indication of the extent of how this mantra will purify people. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was going through the forest of Jarikhanda, he was going from Orissa or Jagannath Puri, he was coming to Vrindavan, and he was walking through the forest. Remember, back in the day, this was 537 years ago, there was no roads that you could actually travel by because there was horse or bullock carts and then horses, things like that. And merely like trails, go up through forest or any other area. And as he was walking through Jarikhanda forest, there were these animals that would sometimes come in contact with him. And by accidentally touching them, they would start chanting. Because he would be chanting all the time. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would chant constantly. He would not stop chanting actually. He would just chant all the time. He would just chant Krishna, 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 Krishna. Actually, when he was coming through the Jarikhanda forest, it was written that he was saying, there's a nice two-line verse that says, Krishna, 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 He, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Makrakshama, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahima. So you're singing like this and he was walking actually, like just remembering Krishna all the time. Because what I just said was like Krishna, you just remember Krishna, 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 Krishna. So you're just constantly remembering and chanting about Krishna. And he would come in contact with these animals in the forest, and they automatically would start chanting actually. Because the touch of Lord Chaitanya as the Supreme Personality of Godhead was so contagious. Immediately they become like spiritualized. And you think about that and you think like, wow, how is that possible actually? It's like Srila Prabhupada gave an example. Electricity is flowing in this room, but until you plug it into something, you would not get any electricity. So simply by coming in contact with that source of electricity, you get power, isn't it? So similarly, by coming in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you get that spiritual potency as well. So imagine this holy name that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. It is said that, this holy name has descended from Golok actually. Golok Prabhanu Harinam Sankirtan. So from the highest spiritual planet where Lord Krishna stays, this holy name has descended. It has descended. But it has the same potency that it had in the spiritual world that it has here. Which means that when we say Krishna, Krishna is physically present. You may not be able to see him, you may not be able to touch him, you may not be able to feel him, but he is physically present. So whenever we chant the holy names of Krishna, and he said that Krishna is dancing on our tongue, Can you imagine that? That this kind of spiritual value has been given to us on a silver plate, literally. Take this and you can go back to the spiritual world. Now the question may be, what is in the spiritual world that's better than here? Is there anything? Yes, no, maybe. So remember, in this earthly planet, we have 4 things that we are all battle with. Firstly, we'll take birth. Then we'll grow. Then we'll get old. Then we'll get diseased. And then we'll die. In between, we may get married and have some byproducts, children, wife, so many other things may come in between. But that's the process. Can't stop somebody from being born. Can't stop somebody from dying. Can't stop somebody from getting sick. Won't happen. You will age automatically. Time, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Kalos me, I am time. Time is eradicating your youth, your beauty, your wealth, everything, actually. And at death, that's it. Whatever you accumulate over your lifetime will stay there, and then you'll be either buried or cremated. And that's the end of you, actually. But the spiritual world is offering something completely opposite, actually. There's no birth, there's no death, there's no old age, there's no disease. Now, who wouldn't want to deal like that, actually? Anyone? Yes, no, maybe. Want? No birth, no death, no old age, no disease. I mean, going up and down these stairs can be a challenge for most of us because of our knees and injuries and all the bits and pieces, right, Mataji?
Yes.
But in the sports world, it doesn't exist. Everybody is like young and youthful and full of energy. So this is what Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is giving. Someone may think that, like in Vrindavan, if you go today, you will see, Vrindavan has a town, has a village, and forests and roads and trees and so many things. And you may think like, why would this be so attractive? But it is described in scripture that Vrindavan is Chintamani. Chintamani means that it's like wish fulfilling. You can say something and I want this, and Chintamani will fulfill it. It become manifest. A desire tree. You could stand under a tree and say, I want, mangoes. What other fruit you want? Lychees. It's now season for lychees, and you'll get it actually. Yes? You don't have to worry. The Surabhi cow will fulfill any wish that you have. Like that. So this is what Vrindavan is. It's not like just like some piece of dry land and people see with the material. It is made of spiritual substance because it is surcharged with the energy of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu came and he revealed that to us actually. Now how would we get access to Vrindavan? Like I was saying, this is why Krishna came. Wondering how we will get access. By following in the footsteps of Lord Caitanya. By following in his footsteps. By chanting the holy names of Krishna, by rendering devotional service to him. Eventually, we will find that we will wake up in Vrindavan and we will see Radha and Krishna. Because Lord Caitanya is none different from Radha and Krishna. But by following him as a devotee, by worshipping him as a devotee, we get that benefit. We do what we call sadhana bhakti, and sadhana bhakti eventually will culminate in what we call raghunaga bhakti. Become spontaneous, loving, devotional service. So there's no like rules and regulations. Like now we've got so many rules. You have to chant so many rounds, you have to follow so many principles, you have to do so much of service so that you can purify your existence actually. But eventually, it'll become second nature. Eventually, it'll just become like something that you do automatically. You don't even think about it. You want to serve. You want to help. You want to do something. But that spontaneous nature will automatically develop. But in the beginning, it's like any job that you go for, In the beginning, when you go, you're like, oh, I have to tick this box, I have to cross this thing, I have to do this. It's such a chore. But after like 6 months of the job, you're like, you can do this thing practically with your eyes closed, right? Same job. But as you get used to it, you'll be able to do better. And the spiritual life is like that. The harder you try, the more energy and effort you put into it, the more Krishna will reciprocate with you and give you benefit. So that's the goal that we want to try and achieve, actually. How to get this love that Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is exhibiting. And how is he exhibiting it? Through service. Nothing else. Like chanting the holy names of Krishna or the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. All we are asking for is saying, Krishna, Srimati Radharani, please engage me in your service. That's all. not asking for anything else. And this is difficult. In this day and age, people are always trying to bargain. Srila Prabhupada made the point that God is not an order supply. You don't go to him and say, please give me this, I want this actually. And it's okay, no problem, I'll give it to you. And next time you want something, you go back to him and say, I want this. And then you get that. He's not an order supply actually. If God is giving, is taking care of the ants, like Srila Prabhupada said, which are eating a few grains of sugar, and he's taking care of the elephants that are eating tons of foliage, why wouldn't he take care of you? Why wouldn't he? Are we not his children also? We are. But we lack the faith. And we lack the ability to surrender to him actually. So when we surrender, because remember, like with our parents, when we were growing up, I still remember, I see this picture of Srila Prabhupada. My Guru wrote this book called The Ocean of Mercy. So Srila Prabhupada is holding this young boy's hand and you can see Prabhupada walking. But I can relate to that because when you were holding your father's hand when you were a young child, were you afraid of anything? No. Doesn't matter what the situation was. You were not afraid at all actually. So why? Because you knew you had shelter. Your father will protect you and take care of you. Similarly, if we surrender to Krishna like that, then he'll do the same thing actually. He will protect, he will guide, and he will give us shelter. And whatever we need, he will fulfill it at the same time. It's not like we have to now go separately and try and work hard to do this and work hard to that. Yes, working means you want to achieve something. And most of us work because we want to get something more than what we have now. Isn't it? Because you look at your salary increase, every time you get a salary increase, before you get the increase, you know you're getting the increase, you already spent the money. The nature of the material. That's how it is. But spiritual life means that we do things for the sake of praising Krishna without wanting anything in return but his mercy. To give like a mundane example of this, it's like sometimes a child will go to the father and ask the father, can I have 100 rands? Father will give him the 100 rands. He'll go buy a present for Father's Day or for the father's birthday and give it back to the father. Whose money is it? It's the father's money. But the father appreciates the endeavor, the effort, the reciprocation. And that's what Krishna is looking for from all of us actually. That somehow or the other we need to reciprocate with him. And the only avenue that we can do that through is through service actually. If we become like neutral in our relationship with Krishna, there's no activity. Mundanely, if you have like a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend having a neutral relationship, how's that possible actually? It doesn't work. Boyfriend doesn't talk to the girlfriend, girlfriend doesn't talk to the boyfriend, doesn't buy any chocolates or flowers, and she doesn't do anything for him. I'm like, where's this relationship going? Down the tube, right? But if there's a relationship where they are helping each other, serving each other, like trying to assist, then you will find that the relationship get deeper and deeper and deeper actually. But without service, it doesn't exist. It just disappears in Eden. So this is what we need to do. We depend on the holy name, we take shelter of the holy name by chanting the holy name more regularly, and actually we should chant the holy name. Srila Prabhupada said we should be chanting like 24 hours a day. How? Not physically on our japa beats, but even mentally. And then even when you're working, you may think about Krishna. Your thoughts should be engaged in about thinking about Krishna. And you may think, but I work in an office, how I can think about Krishna? So just wonder, they made this wonderful thing called air conditioning. But Krishna is like creating so many wonderful scenarios that we can't do. So we can do some small thing, but he can do something. He can create a garden, we can create some nice flowers and plants. Krishna can create such a wonderful arrangements in the material world. It's beautiful. Amazing design of like lakes and mountains and rivers and so many things that is like completely mind-boggling. But Krishna is like that, he can do it. So we want to worship him in that respect where we can think about these things. That Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, his material nature is but a spark of my splendor. One spark. So it's a small protection. But we want to try and think like that so that we can worship him. We can see him for who he is as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and understand that we are subject to him all the time. So I hope that this will encourage you to chant the Hare Krishna mantra more often. It is something that is our life, the essence of our life, to be quite honest. Chanting is something that we want to do as much as we can, as often as we can. because it puts us in touch with the spiritual reality all the time. Hare Krishna. Any questions or any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, thank you. Prabhu, in fact, Dr. Mirza has to leave.
He's going already.
Did he leave? Sorry for the disruption.
No, it's fine. Everybody has commitments, no problem.
Yeah, so...
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to ask why would it's Kali Yuga and all of that, and like we